Welcome back to our channel. Today I want to talk to you about the 10 things we no longer spend money on. As budget travelers, it's important for us to keep our costs down, and so I wanted to share the things that we no longer pay for. The first thing we no longer pay for is baggage fees. One of the reasons is because we do use budget airlines. A lot of times we just carry a backpack, and we have several packing videos that go over ways to maximize your packing capacity by using a backpack so you can save money. When we do take regular commercial airlines like American Airlines or Delta, we always get a free carry-on bag. And so we'll take a carry-on bag, which is our suitcase with wheels that we put up in the overhead compartment. And then we also have our personal item, which is our backpack. And that's the way we typically travel, so we no longer pay for baggage fees. The second thing we no longer pay for is water bottles. Water bottles like Yeti bottles. I do like to take reusable bottles because I don't want to drink out of plastic all the time. But a way we found around that is we purchase the aluminum bottles at the airport, or we will take an empty aluminum bottle with us. Path is a brand that we use quite often. They're super lightweight, and we go empty. We'll take that empty bottle with us, and then we will fill it up when we get to the airport, pour our electrolyte powder in it, and then we don't have to worry about staying hydrated on the plane. These bottles, like I said before, are super lightweight. I don't know if you guys have heard, but a lot of times in the plane or in the waiting area, you will hear this loud, thunderous clap, and that's typically a water bottle falling out or being dropped on the floor. These aluminum bottles are super, super handy. They come in a couple of sizes, and then we don't have to worry about keeping up with them. If we happen to lose one or it doesn't work anymore for us, it's not a big deal because we don't have a big investment. And when we travel, especially out of the country, one of the things we like to do is look for the local bottled water that comes in these aluminum cans, and it's just super cool. So that's another way we like to save money, is we no longer have to purchase those expensive water bottles. The third thing is we don't pay for is ATM fees. There are certain ATM bank cards that if you use them, you will not have to pay the ATM fees, especially when you are an international traveler. Not only will you have to pay the conversion fee, but you will have to pay for using that bank ATM machines. The way we get around that, and the reason we no longer pay for that, is we bank with Charles Schwab. And I set up an investment checking account, and I solely use this for travel. So any extra income that we have or bonus money that we get, we put that in our Charles Schwab account, and that becomes our travel money. The way it works is you go to other countries and you'll go to a bank and withdraw the cash just like you would do here in the United States, disperses the money in the local currency. You will be charged that ATM fee. However, with the Charles Schwab card, at the end of the month, they will refund you the total amount of whatever that bank charged you for using their ATM. So the Charles Schwab debit card is another reason we no longer pay for ATM fees. We also do not pay for foreign transaction fees when using our credit cards. As you know, we try to put as much spending as we can on credit cards so that we earn more points and miles for future travel. If you are traveling in another country and your credit card charges foreign transaction fees, that can add up pretty quickly. That's a 3 to 5% charge just for using your card in another country. There are so many cards out there that don't charge for foreign transaction fees that you need to make sure when you are traveling, you only use cards that don't charge foreign transaction fees. The Chase Sapphire Preferred and the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Capital One Venture and the Capital One Venture X, the American Express Hilton Surpass card, the Chase Ink Business Preferred. Those are the cards that we use, and they do not charge foreign transaction fees. There are some Chase Ink cards that are business cards that do charge foreign transaction fees. So be careful. Check the fine print and make sure the only cards you are using out of the country are cards that do not charge foreign transaction fees. This goes for your virtual wallet as well. Double check your PayPal and double check your Apple Wallet and make sure that you are selecting only the cards that are safe to use in other countries because they don't charge foreign transaction fees. Another thing we no longer spend money on is seat selection fees. The way airlines are now is everything is kind of a la carte. You will pay for your ticket, you'll pay for your seat, you'll pay for your bag, you'll pay for your seat location, you'll pay for meals. There's just a variety of add-ons that you can do. Most of the non-budget airline carriers do not charge for seat selection, especially if you are using points. So if you are booking your American Airlines flight or whatever carrier you prefer with points, they typically do not charge a seat selection fee. You're actually allowed to select your seat at the time of purchase. There are some exceptions to this. I know that Air France doesn't allow you to do that until I think it's the night before, and then you can go on when you're checking in and you can select your seat for free. So that is something we don't pay for anymore is seat selection fees, because most of the time we are booking airlines, we are paying with points. On budget carriers, sometimes it's worth it to pay a seat selection fee, but most of the time we just let them tell us where to sit, and it usually works out just fine. Because budget carriers, we typically don't go far. The longest we've ever flown, I think, is 2 hours, and we can sit anywhere for 2 hours. The next item is convenience food. These are things like the food in a food court or at the airport or in a mall or even some of the the roadside stands. Some of those can be quite costly because of their location, because they're convenient. The way we get around that is we purchase a lot of our food at local markets, at local shopping markets. We prepare a lot of food in our room, and we use DoorDash. When we are domestic, we always use DoorDash. And we go ahead and place the order. We usually place it from the airport upon arrival. Sometimes I will go ahead and load the cart up before we even leave the house. I'll go ahead and find the best place to order from at the destination that we're going, and I will put an order in the cart. Then when we land, I go ahead and just submit that order, and by the time we get to the hotel, the order is usually waiting for us at the front desk. Or if you're at a Hyatt, most of the time they will go ahead and take it and put it in your room. It just depends on the hotel. The reason I don't go ahead and do a timed delivery from home is because your flight can get delayed, your flight can get canceled. So we have found it's just easier to go ahead and create the shopping cart. And then once we arrive at our destination, we go ahead and submit the order to be delivered. You can use Uber Eats also. That's another good way to save money on convenience foods. And then you have crackers, cookies, nuts, trail mix, soft drinks, things you can take with you daily that you don't have to purchase the convenience foods and pay the premium price because it's convenient. The next thing we no longer pay for is breakfast. We mostly stay at Hyatt and Hilton hotels when possible, and we use points. And one of the benefits of that is several of those hotels offer free breakfast. Hyatt Place, Hyatt House, Hampton Inn, those are locations that always have free breakfast. And I'm not a big breakfast eater, but when we're traveling, it's always nice to start the day off with a cup of coffee. And so that's an inexpensive way to get your morning coffee is to take advantage of the free breakfast. You can also grab some fruit from the breakfast bar that you can have later in the day. Sometimes they'll have packets of peanut butter. That's always good to have if you just need a little protein or a salty snack while you're on your daily excursions. There's several things that you can take with you. One thing is we always carry Ziploc bags for this reason. Maybe you didn't have time to finish that pastry, but you want to put the rest of it and take it with you in your backpack for the day, because in an hour and a half, you're going to want that pastry. So that's something we no longer pay for is breakfast. The next thing we don't pay for anymore is roaming data fees. Do you remember when we had cell phones and we would travel internationally and we used to have to pay by the minute for international calls, we don't really have to do that anymore. Usually our cell phone provider will offer the service of giving us international coverage for a cost, maybe $10 a day. If you're going for a couple of days and that's a convenient way to do it, then $20, $30 doesn't maybe seem like hitting the budget too hard. But if you're going for a week, you're talking $70, $80 to $100 for roaming data charges and the ability to use your phone overseas. So what we use now is eSIMs. It replaced the physical SIM card. It's an eSIM. It's actually a program that's in your phone, and you will go to, we use Airalo, and we've also used GigSky. You will go on to their website or use their app, and you'll purchase an eSIM for either the country you're going, the region you're going, the continent you're going, and they even have global ones. My caution on the global one is do not activate it when you are still at home. Because it's global, it's going to activate as soon as you download it. As where if you activate one for, let's say, Italy, it won't actually activate until it connects in Italy to their service provider. So you're safe in doing that, and I would recommend doing that. When you get a virtual eSIM, go ahead and purchase it, follow the directions on the app, and you will choose that on your phone under cellular data. You will see that your main phone line has a data plan, and you'll now have a secondary eSIM data plan. You go ahead and you download the eSIM to your phone while you have really good stable Wi-Fi, which is usually at our home. Then when you land in country, you just go back to your settings and switch the data plan from your normal cellular plan to your eSIM plan. A lot of times it lets you name the card, so you can call it Italy, you can call it travel, you can call it whatever you want. But it's very inexpensive. You can get up to a week's worth of data for less than $15 for the whole time. So I encourage you, we'll put the links down below to give you extra savings. I think you can get $3 to $4 off of your next eSIM. So try it out and see what you think. We've liked it. It works really well, and it has saved a lot of money. Now, if I want to call home, then I will use the WhatsApp. That allows you to make phone calls. It allows you to make video calls using Wi-Fi. So we recommend WhatsApp to save money on that. Something else you can do on WhatsApp is you can send videos and pictures. Sometimes in your texting, you can't actually send things, so that's a helpful thing using the WhatsApp. The 10th item we no longer pay for is airport taxis. We take advantage of local transportation, whether it's a bus or a train. Sometimes there's a ride share available. This is our typical travel system when we go overseas. We research what the local transportation is to get us from the airport to the city center. Typically, it's a train if you're in Europe. We'll take the train into the main station from the airport to the city center, and then we will either take local transportation, whether it be a bus or a metro, or sometimes we will use an Uber rideshare. The reason for that is when you land in country, it's typically in the morning. You haven't really slept well the night before because you've been on a plane. And so your brain is a little foggy. So help yourself out. Get yourself to the city center and then just easily book an Uber Black. I believe Grab is another one you can use. FreeNow is another one you can use. But just do a little bit of research before you leave so that you have a plan. As soon as your feet hit the ground, you know exactly what the next steps are. Now, for your return trip from your accommodations back to the airport, depending on how many people are traveling together, it may serve you well to pre-book using Booking.com or Uber, and sometimes even Lyft in some countries. Booking ahead costs just a little bit more, but not much more, especially if you have 2 to 3 travelers. That cost spread out over 2 to 3 travelers is the equivalent to booking other public transportation like trains. So do your research and check it out and see which one's going to work best for you. Because when it's time to go home, you don't want to have to navigate more than you need to. Sometimes you just want to be picked up and taken to the airport. And that's okay because we do the same thing. I do have a bonus tip for you. And this is probably the most expensive savings. So this is a good bonus. We no longer pay for car rental insurance, or trip insurance. Now, this is controversial because not everyone subscribes to this, but this has worked for us. Our credit cards, we have several that offer different kinds of protection for traveling. We have some that offer trip cancellation, trip interruption, baggage replacement, baggage delay, trip delay. If we get sick, it reimburses us for the entire cost. So it really just depends, and check the details of the coverage that you get with your credit cards. Sometimes you don't need to buy additional insurance for traveling, but sometimes you might. If you booked a 10-day trip that's booked through a tour company, they may insist that you carry insurance. If you are on a cruise where it's really out of your control, some of the credit cards don't cover cruises. They only cover flight and train delays. So check the details on your particular credit cards to see if trip insurance is something you even need to purchase. Car rental insurance, it's additional coverage. Our credit cards cover us everywhere on a rental car. For collision, if it's our fault, if it's their fault, we are covered. So check the details on your credit card to see if your credit card offers you additional coverage on rental cars. It can be quite a savings. I have heard some anecdotal information that in Europe there are some companies that insist that you carry their insurance, and then that's out of your control. But we have never had to pay for additional car rental insurance. And we have booked overseas car rentals before, and domestically we never pay for them. So those are the 10 things plus the bonus things that we no longer have to pay for, so we can use all of our money to travel more. I hope this was helpful. We'll see you in the next one. We appreciate you sticking with us to the end of this video. We share travel tips, packing videos, and tools for navigating the points and miles ecosystem. If this interests you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out. Have a great day, and we will see you next time.